Welcome back to Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy and today is the last day of 2021. What a crazy year for trading for this YouTube channel. And we have to end off the year talking about my favorite stock, Humbl, because there's some clarifications that I want to go over because Brian Foote has actually clarified exactly what everybody's biggest fear is. So I want to go over that. I want to go over the price action today because we had an explosive recovery. But first I want to talk about his Twitter. He put out 4 tweets that are going to talk about the preferred shares, which I'm about to go over right now. So firstly, the false information crews are out heavy today on social media regarding the Humbl Series B shares. And so here are his facts. The Humbl CEO, Brian Foote, whose holdings represent about 43.5% of the total Series B shares, takes $1 of a salary and has currently sold 0 shares and has locked them all up through December 31st, 2022. So there's a full year before he can even exercise to use his shares. So that's a massive win that I've already mentioned that some people did not understand earlier. And so the third thing, Humbl co-founders who represent about 15% of the total pool of Series B shares have also sold 0 shares and will sell no more than 1% of their holdings per quarter, if at all, through December 31st, 2022. So another year with very minimal selling here in Humbl. And then the last one, LLC early investors, employees, and service providers who represent roughly about 42% of Series B shares voted to impose strict conversion limits on themselves of 5% of their holdings in December 21, January 22, and 3% in the following 18 months. To summarize, about half the shares that are locked up aren't going to be touched until about a year, and even then only about 1%, if any, do get converted. And then you have about 42% which have the option to sell up to about 5% of their total. And so that is still a very minimal amount. And so we shouldn't really see any fear from this because this is actually really great news. These strict conversions make it so that people can't just dump a ton of shares on the market, which would then drop the share price. And so if you guys still don't understand what I'm talking about, just know that even if they sell, it's going to be very little and it should not do too much in share depreciation. And so for those people who are super unsure about Humbl, I want to play this TikTok that I found very interesting today, and I want your guys' thoughts on this in the comments of what you think this means for Humbl. But in my opinion, this could be one of the most bullish things I've heard out there, which makes me super confident about Humbl moving forward. But I'm gonna let you guys hear about what it is.
The biggest business loser for 2022 is Visa and MasterCard and traditional payment rails and the entire ecosystem around it. This is the year you can put on what probably will be the most profitable spread trade of my lifetime, which is to be short these companies and be long well thought out Web3 crypto projects that are rebuilding payments infrastructure in a completely decentralized way. I think you can be long those and you can be short Visa, MasterCard, because I think this is their peak market cap.
Stop. You're telling me Billionaire Jumit, I don't even want to butcher and try the last name, is saying that you should be long Web3 platforms. And what is Humbl? A Web3 platform. So everything he just said about Web3 companies that you should be going long on all remind me of what Humbl is doing. And so if you needed any sort of reassurance, Billionaire Jumit literally has just said that you should be long Web3 platforms that are very similar to what Humbl is doing, because these are going to be long-term gems, and the prices that we're able to buy these plays right now is absolutely ridiculous. Today Humbl shot up 25%. We expected a bounce back. You could see on our RSI that we were extremely oversold. If I even pull this out here onto our weekly, we can see on our weekly time frame that we actually got as low as about 30. So we are officially oversold here on a weekly time frame, which means that Humbl now should be looking for a recovery. We could see the price action intraday maybe get as low as around 16 cents. That would be the worst case scenario in my opinion. If it gets there, there is a limit order going to be waiting there where I'll be snagging up some cheap shares. But overall, we should start to see the price action recover a bit. You can see on the weekly, this is looking like a pretty nice doji candle. If you look over here, when we got something like this, our price action did tend to run up. We are still well away from our 20-day SMA, so we should see a retest of that sometime in the next couple weeks. I also do want to mention that Humbl has ran up significantly the past 2 years, and so this year was a cool off year where we actually closed lower than what we started at a year ago. And so that is actually something to always pay attention to. You can't see a stock just continuously go up, up, up. There is going to be cool down years. There are going to be down years. And so this was a down year on Humbl where people should have been accumulating throughout this year like I have and a lot of you have as well. And so when you see stuff like Billionaires talking about companies that you should be long on, Web3 companies like a Humbl, it does get me excited for another strong year. And now considering that we are on an oversold basis on Humbl, this is going to be an extremely exciting first half of 2022, in my opinion, for the stock. I can't wait to see where this one progresses. You can see today now we are at 28 cents. This 20-day SMA is at around 41, 42 cents. And so that is still a nice upside if you are buying at these levels. And so there's also a lot of skeptics out there who don't believe in the fundamentals, who don't believe in the share structure, but we know the fundamentals are solid. The only concern was the share structure that has been clearly put out in front of you and should not scare you at all, because this share structure is still favorable for investors. You still have a solid year of growth, and in this year a lot could happen for Humbl. And so I'm very excited to see where all of this plays out moving forward. This was my last video on Humbl for the year. You guys know I will be back stronger with Humbl moving forward. I just had to cover this as my last video because not only was it my highest percentage gainer today, it's my favorite stock for the long term, and we also got that clip of Jamith talking about why he's short Visa and long Web3, and also Brian Foote has clarified a lot of things about the preferred B share. So at the end of this year, we got a lot of great information coming out on this stock about why it's going to be a powerhouse moving forward, and so I'm just here to relay that message. Otherwise, I hope everybody has a happy and healthy new year. This is Dummy Boy Finance. I'm Dummy Boy, and I'll see you guys in 2022.